Her words cut through me like blades, claiming I lacked the strength to ever be the kind of man she truly needed. And that was the moment I knew I had to leave for good. What she said was brief, but it carried the weight of years of unspoken compromises, quiet loyalty, and love that was never fully seen. When you give everything you are to someone, believing they'll walk beside you through every rise and fall, you never imagine they'll one day turn on you, diminishing you in front of others. Yet that's exactly what she did. I was never the loudest voice in the room, nor the type to dominate. I was the thoughtful one, showing love not with grand gestures but through consistency, small daily acts, and sacrifice. I worked long hours to keep our life afloat, took her dreams on as my own, and supported her every ambition. In the beginning, she cherished that about me. She'd call me dependable, unwavering, the kind of man who wouldn't falter when life got hard. I believed her because she sounded genuine back then. But over time things changed. Maybe routine bored her. Maybe she started comparing me to others. Or maybe she simply stopped valuing the quiet strength I gave. It began with small remarks, teasing in front of her friends, jokes at my expense. She'd laugh and say, "He's too gentle to ever argue back," or "He's not the type to stand up for himself." I brushed it off as harmless fun, convincing myself she didn't mean it. But the comments grew sharper, meant to sting rather than amuse. One night, at a gathering with her circle, the conversation drifted to relationships and the idea of needing strong, protective men. She looked directly at me, her eyes piercing, and said, "Not everyone gets a protector. Some end up with the softer types." Laughter rippled through the room, but my chest burned with shame. I forced a smile, burying the ache. It wasn't just her words. It was the tone, the dismissiveness, as though my worth as a man was laughable. That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed it over and over, trying to convince myself she hadn't meant it, that maybe she was stressed or hurting inside. But the truth was harder. She had already begun to see me as less. Soon she openly compared me to other men. Men with more money. Men with stronger builds. Men who demanded attention when they spoke. Slowly, in the life we had built together, I became invisible. Still I stayed. I stayed because I loved her. Because I believed love meant patience, forgiveness, and choosing kindness even when it hurt. But every time she looked at me with contempt, every time she called me lacking, another piece of me broke. The breaking point came one evening when we were out with mutual friends. A small disagreement about plans spiraled, and she erupted. In front of everyone, she shouted, "You're too weak to be the kind of partner I deserve." The silence that followed was heavier than any slap could have been. My face burned as she crossed her arms and looked away, like I was a burden she regretted. In that moment, everything became clear. Love should never feel like public humiliation. Real love should never make you question your worth. Love should never rob you of your dignity. That night, when we got home, I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to see me. I didn't try to prove myself again. Instead, I packed my suitcase, placed my key on the kitchen counter, and walked out. The days that followed were brutal. Her words haunted me. Too weak, not enough. I stared at my reflection, wondering if she had been right all along. But as time passed, clarity came. Strength isn't about being the loudest or the most imposing. True strength is in kindness, in endurance, in choosing to build instead of destroy. And sometimes, the greatest strength of all is walking away from someone who refuses to see your value. Months went by, and I heard through friends that she was struggling. The man she once idolized, the one she thought was everything I wasn't, didn't treat her with half the care or respect I had given. For the first time, she began to understand what she had lost. But by then it was far too late. I hadn't left to prove a point or to punish her. I left because I finally understood that my worth didn't depend on her acknowledgement. I left because the man she thought was too weak had the courage to choose himself. Today I'm doing better. I'm slowly rebuilding piece by piece. I've poured myself into growth, into peace, into embracing the quiet strength that has always been a part of me. One day, I know I'll meet someone who sees that strength for what it is, who values the love I offer. And I'll never again settle for words that diminish me. If you've ever been told you aren't enough, if someone who claimed to love you ever tried to make you feel small, remember this. The truest strength lies in knowing when to leave. Walking away is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of resilience. The night I closed that door behind me, I wasn't powerless. I was free.